Are there any books that you guys read to do a lot of your work, your inner work?
My favorite one is the Daily Stoic, and it's like one for every day of the year that you read. And I've read it for almost 2 years now, and every year or day that I come back to it, I interpret it differently probably than I did the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my favorites. The Power of Now is also really great.
I love it. How about you, Pal?
Two books came to mind. So one of the books that really, really changed my life was Women Who Love Too Much. It's written by a female. She's a psychologist. And it's amazing because she goes through real life like examples of relationships of women, like of their past, and the kind of partner they attract based off their past, and like what patterns they created in the relationship and how like they progressed and got better, or some of them regressed. It's a really interesting read, and it was actually like, whoa, like you just like you realize like, oh my god, this is me, like this is why I attracted the same guy in my life. I had the same relationship with a different person, you know. And I think this is really good for like, you know, when you're in your 20s or 30s, like kind of like figuring out what kind of partner you want in your life, you know, and you start to see these patterns. That was a really good book. I'm really into Pema Chodron. She is a Buddhist monk, and she's awesome. She has a little bit of a potty mouth, which I love, because she's like this in her, like, she's like a Buddha, you know, and then she's like dropping like, you know, cuss words, and she's just like so real. But she has this book, When Things Fall Apart, and she talks about how her life fell apart when her husband had an affair and left her. And that was like her spiritual awakening. And her teachings are through a Buddhist lens, but they're so practical that you could just apply it to how you want to apply it. You know, it's not dogmatic. It's very like philosophical, and there's a lot of good nuggets in that book that I've been really enjoying.
I love that first one that you said. I'm definitely gonna like have to try to read it, especially about patterns, like especially women and like patterns in our relationships. That's huge and can sometimes be super detrimental to our growth if we don't recognize the patterns that we have in our romantic relationships. This book is The Four Agreements. It's the easiest read. A lot of like, they're nodding there because the people know about this book, and it's really great. It basically has 4 agreements for individuals to live their lives. And like you said, Alyssa, like I have read this book this year. I've read it twice, but I've read it once a year for like maybe the past like 5 or 6 years, and every time I read it, it is different. It means something else, and I'm able to like understand it differently. And I remember too, even like the very first chapter where they were talking about like the dream of the planet. It's at first I was like, what is this jargon that this dude is talking about? And now I'm understanding it as like the collective consciousness, and like how we all project all of these ideas onto each other, you know, which can also interfere with our healing as well. You know, judging ourselves and judging others is like one of like the worst things that we can do. It literally is a practical guide to personal freedom. The Four Agreements is it. And then another book that I love that somebody recommended to me is called All About Love by Bell Hooks. Bell Hooks is an amazing, amazing author who has a lot of books about feminism, especially from the Black perspectives, which is the Black feminist perspective is the feminist perspective. So I would definitely check out Bell Hooks. But All About Love is more than romantic love. It's about, again, like the collective, how we view love and how we've warped it. And she even gets in on, you know, how, you know, romantic comedies have changed our view of love, and that it becomes something that isn't about like self anymore. So I definitely would recommend The Four Agreements and All About Love for anybody listening out there who's looking for some book recommendations, because sometimes even just picking up a book is like the best way to begin healing. You know, you don't want to talk to somebody if you're like, I hate writing. If you can't pick up a book though, I can help you. Switching gears real quick, I'm curious to know, and within your healing process, how you feel about an attitude of forgiveness. Paola, if you'd like to go.
Yeah, forgiveness is freedom. If you don't forgive, you're a prisoner to resentment forever. And honestly, resentment is a lazy form of grief. if you really, really get down to the root of it, the seed of it, that's what it is. That's what I've experienced for me and for the people that I worked with. It may not resonate for those who are listening yet, but maybe it will later on. So yeah, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of compassion to get to a place of forgiveness. But once you do, you're finally free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think with that, I think you have to allow yourself to feel all of the ugliness and the darkness and just the shittiness of whatever it is that you need to forgive to get to that place to truly forgive and be free.
Forgiveness, I love that. I love that it was so simple for you, Paola. Forgiveness is freedom. And it's especially, like, kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying, Alyssa, it's especially a practice. Like, it's something that you have to be intentional about practicing every day, every day. Because I remember when I first started forgiveness, like, it hurt almost. Like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural because I was like, y'all hurt me, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't honor me, you didn't take care of me, you didn't protect me. Like, how am I supposed to forgive you? That was like the big, like, question I had to deal with. So, like, a lot of, like, and it took a lot of, like, digging things up, and, like, it's a practice for me. Every day I'm practicing forgiveness, and I'm first and foremost practicing it with myself. Like, even, I'm like the kind of person where if I do something kind of awkward, like, I will wake up at 3:37 in the morning 2 months later and be like, oh my God, that was so awkward. But I realized that it was because, like, I am not forgiving myself for being me. Like, as simple as that is, I'm not even forgiving myself for my small little quirks. Like, and if I couldn't forgive myself for these small little things that I do, how am I going to forgive for somebody who has completely botched their relationship with me and I to them? So much of our trauma, like, really does come from our childhood, and we have to forgive our parents, like, even if it doesn't seem like we do, and even if you don't want to talk to your parents, that's fine, but you have to forgive them. Like, we're all just like a bunch of meat bags, rolling around on this planet, this hot rock that's, like, floating through space. Nobody knows what they're doing, and our parents are just doing what their parents told them to do, and their parents sure as hell didn't know what they were doing. So when I realized that about my parents, like, whoa, like, especially because I'm way past the age now when they had kids, and I don't have any kids. So, like, for me, being past that, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going through, like, all of this stuff. I can't imagine being my parents' age and having a little me running around and having to deal with that and rear them and bring them up in the world. Like, the pressure, even at 28, 35, like, none of us know what the hell we're doing. Forgiveness is a practice. Like, healing is a process, and nobody knows what they're doing.
Yep.
And once I realized, I was like, I'm going to stop pretending like I know what I'm doing. I'm going to just, live in my truth. You know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of mentioned earlier, we are in crazy times. Like, what a time to be alive, though. And going back to, like, the collective consciousness, another way that, I heal and protect myself is through mantras. So I'm always saying, like, little mantras and affirmations. And one of mine lately has been, everything in my life has been leading me up to this moment. I am prepared. I kind of have, like, a toolkit of what I do to protect myself, because healing is hard work. It isn't easy, and it sure as hell ain't pretty. With saying that, ladies, what are some tools that you guys carry in your tool belt when you are experiencing trauma or anxiety or any ailment, either mentally, physically, or emotionally?
So for me, I listen to Sanskrit mantra, like, either in my car or if I'm at home and I'm doing work. Like, it just kind of keeps me grounded. It's very repetitive, right? And it's in Sanskrit, so it's not like I can, like, tune into, like, the English language, or, like, it's just, like, Sanskrit. And then I do have a similar mantra or affirmation that I say to myself, like, I'm divinely supported and guided, and, like, I just really protect myself. I can shield myself with a bubble of white light. And I inhale always to the crown, I am. Exhale down to my feet, earth or bottom, or my bottom if I'm sitting here. I just kind of affirm that I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And that's what I do. And then every night before I go to bed, aside from the chanting and the mudras in the shower, I always use the Palo Santo. I Palo Santo my aura. I pulse onto my chakras. I take an inhale, exhale, bring the energy down. I do that 3 times just to sweep. Like you can do that. It's so easy. Just sweep your aura. And with intention, like that's all it takes for you to be clear and giving yourself that like white shower of white light, just like of the white light coming through, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I typically do every day to just keep myself grounded.
Yes, staying grounded is so key. Alyssa?
I definitely learned from you both. I would say a bit of the same. For me, it's when I feel that anxiety. If I can, I try to just, because, I live with my boyfriend, so in quarantine, we're constantly together. So whenever I feel that, I try to kind of separate myself and, go to another room and just kind of, again, do some breath work and ground myself and remind myself to be present. I try to practice gratitude. A lot of my anxiety is just with worry. So practicing gratitude is really helpful with that. And just reminding myself that everything, for me has happened for a reason. All of the worst things that I have gone through have actually made me so much better, taught me so much about myself, has showed me how strong I am. So just kind of reminding myself of those things in those moments, that's what really gets me through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like, we're on earth, like being grounded is so important with having anxiety. I really surrender and trust. Like that is my biggest thing that I do when I have any kind of like anxiety. What kind of like you said, everything that you've gone through has only made you stronger. It's like anything that's happening to me is for a reason, for a purpose, even if it's adverse to what I would want to happen to me or what I think should happen to me. And trusting that I'm divinely guided, trusting that I'm divinely protected by spirit, and also not taking things personally, like the 4 Agreements tells us. Not taking things personally has helped with so much of my anxiety, which I have a lot of, and I know a lot of us do. Like, we are anxious people because of the world that we live in. A lot of anxiety does come from the environment that we're around and that collective consciousness that ramps it up. But not taking things personally, knowing that what another person is doing has nothing to do with me, has really helped me with anything that happens in the world. Like, it's not how I react, but it's how I respond. And I'm an autonomous human being. Like, what I do is for me and not for anybody else. Again, no kids, but I'm sorry. But yeah, Paola, when we first started working together, something that she had, because I was using Sage a lot, but Palo Santo has really helped me with shielding my aura instead. So I do that literally every time I leave the house, and when I come back, I also honor my ancestors daily with either like fruit or tea, and it's, I can feel them like with me whenever I am going anywhere. Sometimes I'll ask them if I'm going to go into a situation that, I'm a little bit anxious about. I'll ask them to be with me in that situation. But I think meditation is like a huge thing as well that I don't think that we really touched on. But just finding time to, even if you don't meditate, just finding time to sit in silence for 5 minutes, or using the shower to meditate. Visualization is also a huge thing with meditation. So visualization is a really, really big tool that I take for me. Like, if I'm about to go somewhere, I will visualize how that is going to happen. You know what I mean? Down to my outfit, down to the people that I talk to, even if I can't really see their faces. Like in the shower, that's a great time to visualize as well. Visualize your day when you're meditating, before you go to sleep. Recounting your day, visualizing how you want your day to go tomorrow. And we mentioned like auras. I visualize my aura a lot, and like and its circumference, what it looks like, what color it is, and how it'll be protected from other people. So I really, really hope that from listening to this and watching this, the audience, you guys are able to receive any way, even if it's just one way for you guys to protect yourselves and honor yourselves and honor your space, and find different modalities of healing, because there's so many different ways, whether it's through therapy, whether it's yoga therapy, whether it's meditation, whether it's burning candles for your ancestors or leaving them fruit. Like, it can be anything. Going to church, you know what I mean? Going to church is therapy for some people. And journaling, reading, and talking to people as well. talking to people like we're doing right now is like one of the best ways to do it. So yeah, Paola, is there anything that you'd like to finish with to let the audience know?
Yeah, so my website is shakrootsyoga.com. My Instagram handle is paola.yoga_therapy. If you guys are interested, yeah, I practice sound healing too. I love playing the bowls, and I just kind of like intuitively pick and choose with you what it is that you're needing in that particular moment. And then also, I think that's something that would help to understand too, is that when you do the work for yourself to really enhance a better understanding of where your self-sabotaging habitual patterns stem from and how you want to create the life that you are worthy of having, that ripples into everything, onto other people. So just by you being yourself, like authentically truth in your truth, you're changing the world around you. But it starts with you. And so, yeah, that's where it starts.
That was a perfect way to end. We're all about raising vibration, raising consciousness. I mean, that, Alyssa, was literally why you reached out to me and wanted to do this project, or this was initially why you wanted to do this project, was to, whether you knew it or not, was to raise the vibration of, even if it's just our friend groups, even if it's just us talking, it's so important towards our healing. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Alyssa, to wrap on up.
Thank you both so much. I already know this is going to be my favorite episode, and I for sure want to do, more series on this topic. I really, really appreciate you both sharing both of your journeys. I learned so much, and I feel like everyone, at least one person watching, is going to relate to one of our stories or learn something. And I think that's really, for me, what this is all about. If I can have someone feel connected or learn something or feel heard, then I'm doing something right. So thank you both again so much. That's it.